super excited to do this podcast for the next several minutes about side excursions. It's super interesting to think about side excursions and to think about people that do them a lot. I think one of the mistakes, though, is we often take people that are doing side excursions and elevate them to this like super high level. And a couple people I know that do side excursions and that I really love being around. Run Free business partner Ryan Hall does a ton of side excursions. He's always creating a new challenge, something to stimulate his mind, challenge his body. And to be quite honest, those challenges he creates are pretty insane. Like he carried water jugs down the Grand Canyon, did a 500-pound deadlift, and then ran a mile right after as fast as he could. Another guy is recently, Killian Jornet, did this 14ers excursion in Colorado, where he summited, I think, every 14er in Colorado, except for maybe one that was on like private land or something. But those side excursions are so big and they're so daunting. And I think the common person, it's almost impossible for the common person to do those. And so a lot of times we sit back and we look at these people and we see these huge side excursions and we don't really do them ourselves, or we don't really get the benefit that they're getting from doing these super fun things that are super challenging. And you can tell that they're spiritual experiences, they're beneficial to them physically, mentally, emotionally. And I want to share with you how you can create some of these side excursions within the context of a greater goal and get that benefit. So for me, I've been running since I was 14 consistently. So I'm 44, that's 30 years. I've done so many different things to keep it interesting. In college, I decided I was going to see what I could average one summer before cross country. I wanted to see what I could average for a couple months mileage wise. And it was like 142 miles a week for 1 month and then like 130 for the next month. That was definitely a side excursion. That was not the right way to train for college cross country. But if I had to do it over again, I probably would still do it because I learned limits. Like I ran 152 miles 1 week and took a day off. So that's 6 days of, I think it's like 26 miles a day or close to that. Amazing the experience and the memories from that. Another thing I did a few years ago was I sprinted every day. I created some type of workout that I did every day, even if it was very, very small. And it was so fun. It was so fun to have like something to do each day that was tangible, that was kind of different and weird. And more recently, one of the ones that I tried was, if you followed a lot of the ultra running, marathoning, fueling strategies lately, like people are fueling a lot more than they used to. And so I decided I was going to fuel every 30 minutes during my runs, and then I was going to eat a little bit less during the day. So I was eating a very large portion of my calories while I was training, and I was eating a pretty low calorie diet while I wasn't training. That was super interesting too. And I had somebody ask me, like, why are you doing that? That doesn't seem like it's super smart. And I was just curious. I was curious to know how it would feel to be ultra fueled for my runs. And then it was almost like a treat. Like when I ran, I ate, and when I didn't run, I didn't eat. I didn't eat as much. So all of these things to me are side excursions that are similar to Ryan and Killian's side excursions, but they're more tangible, they're more contained, and they're within a much more attainable goal. And it's kept me interested in the sport for so long. And I've done tons of other side excursions where, one winter I would focus on a ultra long event, like a 3-hour competition. I did Pikes Peak for several years. It takes like 3 hours and it's all uphill, basically 13 miles up Pikes Peak from the center of town all the way up. Did other ones where I tried to see how fast I could run a downhill mile, a flat mile, an uphill mile. For some reason, for me, the curiosity has landed and circulated as an athlete around the mile. Like that's just been the fun thing that's kept me involved in the sport. And that doesn't mean I don't run longer distances or race different distances, 10K, 5K, half marathon, marathon. But I just like knowing what I can run for a mile. And so this most recent one is I have broken the mile. I keep saying that. I've broken the mile in 5 minutes is what I keep messing up saying. So I've broken 5 minutes in the mile for 30 years. And I realized that recently. And I was like, oh, that's kind of exciting. I wonder if I could break it for 30 more years, which would be I would be 74. Like it's probably impossible for me to do it that long, but I wonder how long I can do it. So that's the curiosity piece, is how long can I break 5 minutes in the mile? And then I started just noodling on that idea. And I was like, not only how long can I break it, but I wonder how many different scenarios can I break 5 minutes in the mile? Can I break it at 6,000 feet? I just did today. I broke it at 6,000 feet elevation, or 5,900 in St. Moritz. I ran 449 for the mile. Can I break it in an uphill mile at sea level? How uphill is it where I can't break it? And then how fast can I run in a downhill mile? So I just love the curiosity of this. And so I'm going to explore the mile even deeper over the next few years. Or maybe months. I don't know. Like I'm not so committed to an idea that I can't backpedal from it. Like that's one of the characteristics that I think is fun and that I want to share with more people, is the ability to create a crazy goal, a fun goal, an exciting goal, and explore it to the point where you're satisfied with that exploration. And then maybe you pivot to a new goal. Or maybe it's open-ended to some degree and you find out that goal wasn't super fun to pursue. I think that is what is going to fuel the next 2 decades or decade of sport and competition for me as an athlete. And then as a coach, the curiosity is always experimenting on my own body so that I can find nuggets that I can share with athletes where they don't have to go through as much experimentation maybe as I go through. And I do that with nutrition. I do that with drills, strides, different types of lifting, different types of training, and try to learn these little nuggets to share with people. But the mile direction for me is how to keep flavor in my training. It's how to keep it interesting. It's how to keep me going for a long time. I'm really curious to know what, at sea level, what is the elevation limit to me breaking 5 in the mile? And then I'm also curious to know how fast can I run in the mile this year, next year? And the interesting thing is, for me, the curiosity part is as I've gotten older, and I did a podcast on aging as an athlete, but as I've gotten older, I've figured out ways to just be smarter with my rest, with my nutrition, with my training. And I really haven't gotten that much slower yet. So I am interested to know what age I start falling off. And I'm not under the impression that it won't happen, but I'm going to see how long I can delay it. And I also think that like having the petri dish of experimentation with a 44-year-old body is extremely beneficial as a coach. Because maybe at 17, 18, 19, 25, you can do things technically sometimes wrong and you still improve. But it's going to be really hard for me to improve at 44 if my training strategy is poor, my recovery is poor, my sleep, my nutrition is poor. So that's my goal, is to get all those things exactly right, download them to all the Run Free athletes, share them with as many people as I can. And one of the things that I've been experimenting with too on the mental side is, again, finding goals and curiosities that are fun, but also having ones that are absolutely huge. And so I listened to this thing about quantum mechanics, and I'm going to go totally off the rails here a little bit with this quantum mechanics thing. I don't know anything about quantum mechanics. I'd love for somebody to educate me more on quantum mechanics. But I was listening to this scientist talk about quantum mechanics, and I read a couple articles. I just went down this rabbit hole. And the idea is that in quantum mechanics, your future is infinite. So the idea is that it could go infinite directions and infinite things can happen. And once you realize that and apply that to your life, you get in a situation where you can go about things as if they're not as big of a deal. So let me break that down for you, because that's super complicated, and I'm still wrapping my mind around this, but I think there's something here. So when we want something so bad, we want a goal so bad, we want to attain it, and we grab onto it super tightly, a lot of times it's stressful. We squeeze the life out of the fun of the thing that we're pursuing. And then it gets harder to attain it. It gets harder to pursue it because we're so stressed physically, mentally, and I think body-wise too as a runner. Once you get tight in your chest, tight in your arms, you just fall apart. It doesn't go well. You've got to create fluid movement and the ability to run fast and run smooth. And so how do you create this scenario where you want it real bad, but at the same time, you're comfortable with the outcome and you feel relaxed pursuing these big goals? I think there's some nugget in this idea that you really don't know the future. And you don't know how things are going to turn out. So the way I've been approaching this unknowingly with the quantum mechanics example is a little bit flippantly, right? I'm going to pursue a huge goal and I'm going to pursue it as if it's happened. Now, I think this is totally different from manifesting things. I don't really believe in that, mysticism or I'm going to think it and it's going to automatically happen. I believe you've got to do the work. I believe that God has a plan for us. I also believe that hard work is rewarded. And I also believe that you can create huge, big goals. You can pray for them. You can pursue them. You can dream about them. And that's totally appropriate. I feel like God wants us to go for things that put ourselves in a situation where it's going to be challenging and we're going to learn stuff from it. So that brings in the curiosity piece and the desire to learn piece as well. And also the willingness to fail. So if we put all that together, we get this scenario where we're not ultra concerned with whether we win or lose, but we're interested in knowing why we won or lost. Why did we succeed or fail? And we can see it as almost like a third-party observer. It's almost like you're watching yourself do the activity. And I like to think of it like I'm in this machine that is my body, this God-given machine that's my body. And I'm pulling the levers. I'm controlling it. And I can decide, like today when I did my 4:49 mile on the track at St. Moritz, I was deciding how hard to push it and still be able to keep some fluidity in my form. And the reality is today I probably could have run 5 or 6 seconds faster. But I knew I was going to do a little bit more of a workout, and I knew I wanted to keep it somewhat even pace, which I did not do a great job of at altitude. But again, that was that curiosity part. What can I do? And so even that last 400 meters today, I was thinking, okay, I'm in a good spot. I'm already moving fairly well. Let me just keep it going, and then I'll pick it up the last 100. And so I wasn't panicky. I wasn't thinking, oh no, I'm not going to get it. I was thinking, breaking 5 minutes, I don't know if I can do it or not. I'm curious. But it's not really that big of a deal. And I think that mentality allows you to pursue the sport with a lot more freedom, a lot more lightness. So bringing it back to this quantum mechanics researcher and idea. So if there's infinite possibilities for everything that we do, and we can pursue things with excitement and joy and peace, then that means we really should go about things as if they're no big deal. I was having a really good conversation with an athlete that struggles mentally with worry. And I told her, hey, I think you should go about your running, your racing, your training as if it's no big deal. It's no big deal. You're just out there, you're having fun, you're doing your thing. And that's not a position of weakness, because it's the additional concern there is that if you go into training without worry and you treat it like it's no big deal, maybe you won't try hard. Well, I think that's kind of silly, because if you're training every day and you've been doing it for years and you have a goal, you're going to try hard. Like that's going to happen. There's no need to stack additional stress on top of your desire to do well. We actually need to take away the stress. Allow you to pursue your running as if it's no big deal. And I think that's interesting, because when you think about elite sports athletes, if you've done something 1,000 times, like for example, if Steph Curry has 2 seconds left and they're down 2, he's shot thousands and probably tens of thousands, maybe close to 1 million three-pointers. If when you add up practice and all the time he spent doing it, he really shouldn't worry. He should just tell himself things like, okay, come off the screen, grab the ball, release, good form, whatever the cues he uses in practice, he should be doing that. You should be doing the same thing. It should be exactly the same. It shouldn't be worry. It shouldn't be stressful. It should be just another day at the office. And then you execute. And what that does is it allows you to think clearly while you're racing. Like that's the goal, to be able to be in your machine and be able to pull levers and make decisions and respond to things as they come to you. Well, anyway, this quantum mechanics researcher that was like, hey, there's infinite possibilities. I'm going to pretend like everything is not a big deal. All my goals, all my aspirations, all my desires, I'm just going to pursue them day in and day out. And I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to agonize or have anxiety about it. I'm just going to do the things that I know I need to do every day. And then the things are going to happen that I want to happen. And if they don't, then I'll pivot and I'll just continue on this process of being consistent, being curious, and pursuing big things. I don't know the outcome, whether or not he got his big things, but I do know that he quit his job and started pursuing things that he really wanted to pursue. So that's not a prescription to quit your job, unfortunately. Like, we all need jobs and finances and to take care of eating and living and all of those things. But it is a prescription to pursue your job, pursue your desires with way more freedom, and think about them as if they were regular things. So for me today, it's exciting. Like, I broke 5 minutes in the mile in St. Moritz. Well, just getting to St. Moritz is a challenge in of itself. Like, it took multiple flights. It took planning over months to do it. But we pursued it as something fun that we wanted to do. It was exciting, and we pursued it like it was no big deal. So that's my goal for myself, is I want to pursue the next 30 years of breaking 5 in the mile as if it's no big deal. I expect to do it. And if I don't do it, I'll give myself 10 minutes. I'll give myself 10 minutes to be upset or not be happy with my effort, or analyze why it didn't go well. And then I'm going to move on. And I think it's okay to be upset with not reaching your goals. I just think that can't continue beyond a certain point. Like, you can't do that for weeks or for days. And then you also can't get in the sticky web of worry of oh, why didn't it happen to me? Like, what's wrong with my training? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? In a panicky way. What you can do is you can analyze it from an that's interesting way. So if I hadn't broken 5 minutes in the mile today, I would say, I really thought I could. I wonder what aspects of what I'm doing didn't fit with that goal today. Did I not fuel well? Did I not sleep well? Did I overdo it? Did the time zone change get me? Did I overtrain in the days leading up? Did I mentally give up? Because that's certainly a possibility. Was the goal not consistent with my ability level at the moment? So that's very different than getting in that sticky web of being angry and frustrated and having this anxiety of you got to figure it out right now. I think when you're curious and when you have wonder of why it didn't go well, that's a much more patient place to be than if you're anxious and you're you've got to have the answer now. So it really does feel like when I'm in a good spot, and I think when athletes are in a good spot, you're capable of almost removing yourself from yourself and asking yourself good questions and being able to respond to them with good conversation with yourself. That's a huge principle, to be able to talk to yourself. So side excursions, where I think they can go south. And this is arguable. So if you just go side excursion to side excursion and you have a big goal you're trying to reach, and your side excursions continue to pull you away from that big goal, I think that can be a problem. But if your side excursions are your goal, then I think you're probably in an okay place just to side excursion it up. For me, My goal is I want to see how fast I can run still in mile, 5K, 3K, 10K, half marathon. I want to do all the distances. And so I don't want to let my side excursion of anything get me so far away that I can't continue to complete those goals. So I do want to add a couple more things. One thing is, I want to dig a little deeper into what if you create a side excursion that you figure out is really bad and like you're not excited about it. Don't just do it to do it. Like there's got to be a good balance of a side excursion that you're excited about, but not one that you're punishing yourself with just because you said you were going to do it. So if you told a friend you're going to run, 500 milers in a year, and then you find out you don't even like running 100 milers, like switch your side excursion or switch your goal. Like that's totally fine to bail on a goal as long as you're pursuing something that's healthy and challenging and fun for you. I have a good example of a good side excursion. So I got a text from an athlete a few days ago, and I had planned, I think, a 12-mile run, like 120 minutes, for him to run, not 120, 1 hour, 20 minutes. And he texted me and said, is it cool if he did a 40-mile bike ride instead for an easy day? And I was like, totally fine. That's a great side excursion. There was a route he wanted to do instead of the run that totally fit within his overall goals. All right, I just want to give a quick shout out to Blank's Nutrition. Blank's Nutrition is a sponsor of this podcast, and they're providing some incredible nutritional supplements, fueling sources, recovery fuels. I mean, it's really a new company, and they're putting together almost like a one-stop shop. So right now you can get your protein from them, your electrolytes, your carbohydrate fuel, your post-run protein, and your sodium bicarb, if that's something you're using, which I use for almost every workout. You can get it all in one place, and they're constantly expanding their products. And one thing I really like about them is their flavors. Like they have a ton of flavors that are exciting. And that's been my main thing with fueling recommendations for athletes is they always ask, when should I switch up? Which fuel's better than another fuel? I would say by and large, most fuels are the same. There's some combination of sugar and of salt and protein and bicarb. And as long as you're getting in the calories and your stomach accepts it, I don't think it really matters which company you go with. But the cool thing about Blanks is they have a ton of flavors, and that keeps you from getting bored from the flavor. So often I'll tell people, if you're bored of the flavor, it's time to switch companies if they don't make the flavors you like. Well, Blanks has a ton of awesome flavors, so make sure you check them out.